I remember writing to a friend when Alexander was 2 weeks old or so and saying, I've never known such a smiley, communicative baby. And those words have haunted me often since.
Alexander, hello. You smile. You smile.
He was an ordinary little boy.
Yes, absolutely. And very communicative, ironically. And then he just disappeared. And it was terrifying watching this happen. And then he stopped playing with everything. He lost all of his playing skills entirely. And he was
he lost everything.
A child who could play wonderfully,
book.
but he lost all of that.
Absolutely.
If we were in the garden, he would just wander around the hedge and touch the hedge.
Alexander was diagnosed autistic when he was 2 years old. I first met him when he was 4. I wanted to know, how could a family cope with this sort of loss of a child? Could they hope to ever retrieve him? His brother Adam responded predictably to filming. But Alexander shut out all attempts at contact from behind the camera. Alexander. Alexander. It was going to be a difficult journey of discovery for his parents and for me over the next 2 years.
Thank you, sir, said Toby. But what does a special attraction do?
Following Alexander's diagnosis, John and Christine searched every avenue for a remedy. But the causes of autism are mysteriously complex, and so there's no known medical cure. Their psychologist said Alexander might one day respond to therapy. But first, he advised them to reduce all stimulus to a minimum and to give Alexander the space to develop at his own pace. Between the ages of 2 and 3.5, this seemed to help. But by February 1997, Alexander's behaviour had become disturbingly volatile.
He would often bring me a blank sheet of paper and a pen and just give it to me and want me to write something, but not tell me what he wanted me to write. And if I wrote the wrong thing, then he could scream for 2.5 hours, easily. And
not a normal scream. Chilling, wasn't it?
Yes.
I don't know where it comes from, but it's just nothing to do with an ordinary cry, and it's very powerful and it's very loud.
And completely undistractable. And he was doing that pretty much all day and about half of the night. It was a real nightmare. And for the first time, we both experienced tremendous sadness and desperation, really, because we couldn't see where this was going to go. Nothing that we tried seemed to work.
What is it?
As they reached the edge of endurance, John and Christine began to think that Alexander, like many autistic children, would end up in institutional care. But by the time I started filming, they'd heard about a home-based treatment for autism. It was pioneered by a Norwegian psychologist, Ivar Lovaas. It was unusual in Britain, but a controlled trial in America claimed that after 2 years of intensive treatment, nearly half the children ended up at mainstream school.
47%, a huge percentage, recover. Now, nobody talks about a cure, but they had, to all intents and purposes, recovered. So we thought, we've really got to do this. And we just felt that there was no choice. And we knew we couldn't wake up in 15 years' time and think, we should have done that.
Good boy. Good job. Good boy. Good sitting. Good boy.
Alexander begins the behavioural therapy a week after his 4th birthday. This morning, he's refused to get dressed.
Look at me. Do this. No.
Dana, the therapist, tries to reach across the communication barrier by getting Alexander to copy actions.
Look at me. Do this.
If he can't do it, she shows him how and rewards him with praise or a treat.
Good boy, Alexander.
We were in the first session and it was very upsetting as he did scream the whole time. And she dealt with it by pretending it wasn't happening. But I just had to leave the house.
Yay, good boy. One more. Look at me.
The session goes on for an hour. The plan is to do more than 30 hours a week.
Good boy. Good. Do this.
John and Christine struggle to balance family life with demanding jobs. She's had to cut back on her singing career. John's International Chamber Orchestra often tours the country on education projects, so Christine is left to cope.
He's very cross because he doesn't want to go into the church, and this kind of behaviour that's made life very difficult over the last few months because we haven't been able to go out together as a family at all.
The more I film, the more I realise what the whole family has to cope with, day in, day out.
Look at me. Good looking. Do this. No. Do this.
Session by session, Dana gets Alexander to copy slightly more difficult actions.
Good boy. Good. Do this.
Autistic children can't process information logically, and she has to show him every move.
What was extraordinary was that he went, really in 2 weeks, from a child who would not sit and who wouldn't respond to anything that wasn't his idea, to doing what he was asked. He was putting the bricks in the bucket. He was building brick constructions, copying them exactly as he was asked to do.
Good boy. Good.
Autistic children often hear speech as a jumble of noise that they can't understand. They either block it out entirely or get very frightened.
Do this. No.
The repetition and reward system teaches Alexander to recognise what simple instructions mean,
Do this.
and so his small achievements calm him.
That's it. Good boy.
Before it started, he must have been getting more and more aware of his inability to express what he had to express. When he was younger, he wasn't so frustrated because he had nothing to say. But he must have been acquiring knowledge in some sort of way, and there was just this complete glass wall. He just couldn't push through it, and this system just has unlocked him.
But while Alexander's success in learning to follow simple commands has soothed his frustration, he remains painfully absent from the rest of the world and his family. He retreats into Disney fantasy. Memorized soundtracks are his only speech.
Oh, well, that was successful. Did you hear that? He's doing the soundtrack.
Do you ever think you recognise any of Alexander's feelings?
I do, actually. One of the things they say is that it's genetic. It's one of the theories.
Do you believe him?
Well, I do, actually, because I rather recognize certain traits in myself, sort of social fears. I mean, they say, rather like schizophrenia, that everybody's on the autistic, what do they call it, spectrum. But most people are so low down on it, it doesn't feature in their life. But I have a considerable fear of new social situations. I mean, autism is a sort of fear. It's a very serious affliction. It just robs you of all the skills you need to live in the world with other people. Now, of course, if we progress at this rate, I think we'll give him his life back.
Successful or not, the treatment is expensive. John and Christine have formed a team of therapists, including friends, but it's going to cost them $12,000 a year, and they don't know how long it might last. They need local authority support. They've asked the hospital's psychologist, who first advised them, to review John's tapes of the first month's work. They hope he'll support their bid to the Education Authority.
So well.
I mean, in the past, these behavioural techniques had a really big downside, and that was that they seemed sterile, cold,
Now this is a good one.
impersonal. Right.
This is a very good one.
And they were.
Yes, absolutely. This is my friend Alison. He absolutely adores her, as you can see, and they just have a lovely time together.
Good boy. Good boy.
There's a sort of inhibition barrier to get over.
Yes.
And this is proving a very good way of doing it.
Yes.
It's not the only way of doing it, but it's a damn good way of doing it.
Do this. Good boy.
Look at him looking. You're so vain.
Good boy. Put orange with
This is literally 60 years.
Good boy.
See the smile that he's so pleased with himself.
Hands away. Put orange with orange.
He thinks the way she says orange is hilarious, and it really.
Put orange with orange.
Apart from lines from videos, Alexander hasn't spoken since he was 18 months. It's as if he's learning to speak all over again.
It's quite an incredible sort of time for us to see this, when he started repeating this and doing it.
Give me orange. Good boy.
And the joy in his face is just wonderful. It's just incredibly emotional stuff, Now he's in floods of tears the other night because we'd had a story session for more than an hour together. It was just wonderful.
Discovering him all over
And meeting him.
And meeting him, really meeting
Very powerful stuff.
Yes. Yes.
it's wonderful.
Yep.
Absolutely dramatic.
Isn't it? How do you say this?
I think.
X. Yeah? Can you do yeah?
Yeah.
For yacht.
Why, yeah.
It's impossible not to be impressed by Alexander's progress.
Z. The zebra.
Zim.
You finished.
On my next visit, Alexander easily puts words to pictures.
Who is it? Me. Good boy. Who is it? Alexander. Good.
This helps him understand his place in the world around him.
That's amazing.
He's progressing so fast, his parents need more advice, and have recruited an experienced supervisor, Kim Fellows.
Little pronunciation, tidy up.
A program that I think you guys definitely have to start, the social questions.
Oh.
What is your name? Alexander.
How do
you do it, so you just say to him, you say, what is your name? And then immediately after you say, Alexander. So we teach him the response that we want him to give. And then you ask the question.
Is Alexander? Is Alexander.
Good talking.
Name is Alexander. Name is Alexander.
Good boy. Give me 5.
Good.
Good boy.
Smart.
Wow.
Look at me. Now, sit still. Say. Name is Alexander. Good boy.
Good.
Say, my name is
Yes.
Alexander.
Yes.
She's so eager to say
He just wants to finish the whole thing, don't you? You just want to finish the whole thing. I see you. Here we go. Sit nicely. Good. Say my name.
Good.
My name.
Good.
Good try. Sit nicely. Oh, what a fidget boy you are.
good boy.
You are a good boy, yes. You say, is. Good.
Alexander.
Good talking. Well done.
My name is Alexander.
Good. Good. Hey, look. What is your name?
My name is Alexander.
Yeah. Yay for you, mister. Good boy. You're so good. You can go play. Good boy. Wow. He's going to learn one of those like that's amazing.
He now is very happy to say hello to everybody. He says goodbye to everybody. He says good morning when he comes down in the morning. He says night night when he goes to sleep. And it's really wonderful because he's happy to do it anywhere. He does it outside. He does it walking along the street. Excuse me. Hello. Hello. Where are your trousers? Where are your trousers? What's your name?
My name is Alexander.
And how old are you?
I'm 4.
And who's your brother?
Papa is Adam.
And where do you live?
In Mobile.
Yay! Clever! You're clever. So, that's his social questions.
If you know she's hardly slept for 2 years, Christine's joy is understandable. It's a major triumph to walk the boys to the shop in their Oxfordshire village without having to strap Alexander in a buggy. It seems impossible to contemplate failure as Alexander relishes every opportunity to do his party piece.
Book, please.
Please, Pat.
Can you say to Pat, what's your name?
My name is Alexander.
God, how old are you?
I'm 4.
And who's your brother?
Papa is Adam.
And where do you live?
Live in Mobile.
I thought you'd like that. What one of you? Jackie, would you want to move? In a minute. Just go up to your box next.
When he's learned his lines, he seems little different from any other 4-year-old. But when he faces unscripted feelings, he suddenly loses the plot.
Look, where's your nose? Where's your nose? Where's your... Look, can you see your nose? Look, nose. Can you touch your nose? Can you touch your nose? Where's your nose? It's a very small village and it's a wonderful community and everybody knows he's autistic. But you still feel terrible when you're out and this child is absolutely inconsolable, doing something that most families just take for granted and we can't have.
Give me reindeer.
Reindeer.
Good boy.
In the run-up to Christmas, 5 hours a day, 5 days a week, the therapist systematically imprints new words and phrases in the lexicon that will become Alexander's script for life.
Good boy. Do you want juice?
Yes, please, thank you.
Good boy. What color?
Green.
Good boy. What color?
Blue.
Blue. Good boy. What do you drink with?
Playful. Better cream.
Oh, blah, blah, blah. Say it better.
With a cup.
Good. Say, I drink with a cup.
With a cup.
Good boy. Say, I drink.
With a cup.
Good.
Show me crying.
Crying.
He's learning to describe emotions from pictures. But the more I watch him, the more I wonder what actually goes on in his head.
Crying. Show me crying.
I can see he can recognize crying, but does he know what it means?
Laughing.
That's what's needed if he's going to learn to have a normal relationship with anybody else. The treatment has now been going on 5 months, and Alexander is going to the village playgroup 1 morning a week. It's the first step towards John and Christine's ambition that he may one day go to the same school as his brother Adam. It's a big jump from one-to-one therapy to any kind of unpredictable contact outside. He stays as aloof from his classmates as he still does from me. He's lost without his script and prompts.
Hello, Alexander. Alexander, say hello.
Although spontaneous talk seems out of the question, there are moments when he tries to join in the world around him. Therapy has taught him to copy, but he doesn't know that it stretches tolerance to do it on top of someone else's picture.
He's doing a lovely job, isn't he?
It's mine.
You do it right now, too. Can you do another one then?
It's the hardest thing for an autistic child to decode complex messages and to play a part in a social situation. Perhaps he thinks that if he doesn't make a fuss, they'll all go away.
Going to pick the wife, Alexander? Going to pick the wife. Who would you like, Alexander?
As he improves, you actually see how big the mountain is, funnily enough. You know, the more you see him struggling with things that are so basic to ordinary children who just pick it up without any discussion at all, and you realise how far you have to do to get him up to the same level as ordinary children.
We're always aware of how much there is to do, and I think we feel that differently at different times.
Well, luckily we feel that at different times, yes. We have our downs alternately, fortunately. We both have bad little patches. After a break in the quiet room, one of Christine's friends, Siobhan, who's joined the therapy team, brings Alexander back in. We had a book and we were, what's this, what's that, distracting him and just quietening him down. And then we said, just let's give it one more try, and if he doesn't want it, we'll take him home. And he was fine. And
it looks to me as if you felt a little of what he was going through.
Oh, awful.
I had a lot of difficulty keeping hold of myself when he came back in and, sat there. But that was lovely that you did, wasn't it?
Yes.
That was great. So it meant, I think, hello, darling.
I don't know what it is, it just triggers it,
It's allowed.
You were a good boy. Did you have a dog and a cat?
Yeah.
When I go back to the house after Christmas, I learn John and Christine have given Alexander a 2-week break from therapy. Between his tantrums, Alexander has retreated further into the private world he shares only with his Thomas the Tank Engine friends.
My funnel feels wobbly, he complained. I wish manager would hurry up with my new one. He says it will be something special. You and your special funnel, laughed the other engines. They were fond of people saying, "It's special."
We have a bit of a different picture than we had before Christmas, sadly. His whole demeanour is much more withdrawn again, and is much more in his own place, and he doesn't want really to be jogged out of it. He doesn't really want to answer my question. I think it's almost particularly with me, he doesn't want me to demand of him.
No, I think that's right. But when you think what's happened over the 6 months, I mean, it's been a massive movement from doing nothing and really screaming most of the day, and here he is, talking and reading and feeding, and I think it seems quite reasonable for him to just down tools for a couple of weeks, I think. Enough of that. Let's go back to the trains for a bit. I mean,
it does make you feel rather fragile.
Pushing into him.
I feel very fragile about it.
It's a bit demoralising, but I think it would be unnatural to do a thing of this intensity and this pressure, and not to have a backward. Although I don't see it as backward, actually. I mean, I think it's just a little bit of resistance.
The problem is, once he gets back to work, Alexander shows little interest in the daily treatment.
What is it? No.
And when she sees the tapes, the program supervisor, Kim, thinks such a long Christmas break was a mistake.
See, the little boy that you're seeing here is quite different from the little boy that we saw before Christmas. The fact that he wasn't at the table doing any sort of table work makes it now very hard for him to come back and perform to his full potential. Right now, he's giving her about 40% of what he actually can do.
What is it? No, what is it? It's a horse. Where's that big voice gone, Alexander?
The family and also the tutors were actually kind of like, oh dear, something's happened, we've caused this huge regression. I mean, it's quite understandable that they would feel that way because he has changed. His attitude and the motivation has changed so much. But in fact, what that does, it actually feeds into the situation.
The Christmas break has started a spiral of decline. Unless therapy is regular and consistent, Alexander gets confused messages. If inappropriate behavior is tolerated, he takes that as reinforcement, and things will go from bad to worse. Kim's solution is to intensify the work, and so Christine decides to join the team herself. She's going to do 8 hours a week, and that will take Alexander up to 30 hours altogether. Although local authority funding has come through, it won't cover her time.
lovely sitting.
It had always been my intention to do this, and I'd always wanted to do it. But my feeling was very much that as his mother, I had to be completely confident that I was ready, because if someone else comes in and does a session and it goes badly, they can go home and he can then behave in a different way with me. But if a session goes badly, and then it's only me that's here for the rest of the day if John's not around, then I just felt that was a bit dodgy for the relationship.
Is this a dog? Is this a dog? Oh, right. Okay, let's start again. Give me wet. Funny, the magic of a hula hoop. Give me
Slowly,
wet.
Christine rebuilds Alexander's interest with the help of reinforcing snacks and a lot of approval.
Thank you very much. Good boy. All done. Come here. You just clever. And you just clever.
Which do you want? Beans? Good boy.
Beans.
And hoops. Which do you want today? Now.
Day after day, month by month, I see the Lovaas method take over the whole household.
Which would you like of these? Everything he wants is an opportunity to give him a lesson. Or beans. And you don't actually really want to waste a single opportunity. Although on occasions you do, because it's so tedious.
See, I want
Okay. And that really got to me last week, and I just did not want to do any of that, and I didn't want to say well done for saying give me an apple. You know? The constancy of that does occasionally just get extremely trying. Well, it does to me. Every now and again I just want out, basically, from the sort of lesson approach to talking. You can't be completely spontaneous at all. But that's the deal.
Yeah.
It's only a couple of years.
We hope.
We hope.
How many?
1, 2, 3, 4.
Clever boy. And
I am 53.
I am 37. I am 39. I'm... Yes! That's right! Well done.
Boy.
Very good.
It's Alexander's 5th birthday, and the treatment has gone on for a year. His party is a bit unusual because he has no friends to invite, apart from his grown-up supporters and their families. He enjoys his birthday presents alone, but today is still a landmark in his achievements. In his own way, he's learnt to explain himself. This is the first sign I've seen of unprepared conversation.
Put off the table and sit on the chair, please.
Henry's log car.
Are you looking for Henry's log car? Let's find Henry's log car, but you shouldn't sit on the table. You sit on it. No, let's
Good
find...
boy. That's good.
Very
Because it's dangerous on the table.
There we go, look. That's what you were looking for. You were looking for the third log.
The programme has unlocked his ability to understand what you're saying to him.
Alexander, look. Siobhan's got one, look.
He knows what I'm talking about, and it makes us realise what a nightmare it must have been for him in the years before that when we were talking at him and he hadn't a clue what we were going on about, and so it was just utterly frustrating and sort of frightening.
Right, blew up a balloon. What did it say? Yes! This is tricky.
I'm beginning to relax for the first time in about 3 years, and that's quite a nice feeling, to be able to really just have fun with him like any other child.
So far, so good. And I wonder if next year he might have some school friends to invite to his party.
I think we may have to do it inside, actually. Should we try it in here?
Good morning, Mrs. Tyson.
After 15 months in therapy, a red letter day,
You are going to school.
Alexander is on the dry run as a schoolboy. The goal of full-time school is a long way off, but the head teacher has agreed to a gentle period of acclimatization.
First day at school. Who's this?
The first day will be just 20 minutes.
Who's this?
Mrs. Townsend.
Good morning, Alexander.
Good morning, Mrs. Townsend.
Hang your coat up.
Like everything else in Alexander's life, every line has been rehearsed in therapy.
There we are.
Bring the yellow one. That's yours.
And we can choose a book for you.
And then Mummy can put your name on there. Look, it's Alexander. Can you see? Thank you, Mrs. Finch. It's all right, sweetheart.
You write your own. What does that say? That's your first day at school.
Good boy.
That's very, very good.
It's wonderful, wasn't it?
Beginning of the rest of his life.
Yeah. It was quite, I feel quite tearful.
Drained.
Quite tearful, and I don't know whether to laugh or cry, actually.
Very touching.
It felt huge.
Good boy.
The next day, some of the ropes are familiar, but Alexander has to face a new challenge.
Good morning, Jason. Good morning. Good morning, Katie. Good morning, Ella.
Yes.
Good morning, Caleb.
Yes.
Good morning, Clara.
Good morning.
Good morning, Claire. And good morning, Alexander. Alexander, good morning. Good morning, Alexander. Good morning, Alexander. Over here. Alexander. Good morning, Alexander.
Good morning, Alice.
Mrs. Townsend.
Good boy, well done.
It's an uncertain debut. Progress into the world of others is slow but steady. And it's great if your brother is there to look out for you.
What comes after Thursday?
Friday.
Over the last year, Alexander's reading and number work have become as good as any other child of his age, if not better.
Okay, so what does it say?
Today is Friday. Today is 9.
No,
6.
That's right.
Mom, it's November. It's autumn.
Good boy. And what's the weather like? Go and look out the window. Go and look out the window.
And as he grows in confidence, a dry sense of humour is beginning to emerge.
Alexander, what's the weather like?
Raining.
It is not raining. What's the weather like? Yes. The improvements in his behaviour have been much slower than the improvement in his intellect. So that's a little bit overwhelming, thinking about how much he's still got to catch up. But now at least we have the means, through his ability to read, to actually get to the behaviour through his ability to understand.
Yep. In August, Papa, Mummy, Daniel, Adam and I went to the ground.
That's a few months ago.
We had riding a train. I love riding a train. Chuff, 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 choo, choo.
That's right.
Papa?
What, you want the purple pen? What am I going to have to write here?
Really extraordinary. Because he's clearly reading, he's not just sort of parroting it.
No.
While the psychologist John Richer is admiring Alexander's progress, I'm making a small breakthrough of my own.
Alexander, look at me. Look at me. Good boy. Good boy, Alexander.
The old queen told him that they had indeed found a real princess.
That's good looking. Look at me again. Good boy. What's your name?
My name is Alexander.
Yes, it is.
Good. Now
Whom he could marry.
Alexander, turn the tape off, please. Thank you. Thank you very much.
If the activity is very simple, then you get the conversation. As it gets more complex, then he goes back a stage and he has to stick to rather rigid rules, or he talks rather in rote fashion.
What is the name of the blue train?
blue train.
What's his name?
My name, Alexander.
What is the train's name?
His name is Gordon.
He is Gordon.
He is Gordon.
As his confidence improves and his repertoire of skills improves, so one's looking for him to become more flexible and conversational. And that's what I would predict will happen down the road.
Where's toys?
Alexander, look at me. Good looking.
Good.
What are you doing now?
Toys.
The therapy has obviously helped him learn an extraordinary range of skills. Has it actually tackled the autism as such?
You have to remember that autism is the behaviour. It is defined by the behaviour. We don't want to get led down the sort of route which says there's something which is autism which is separate from the behaviour and somehow causing it. The consensus view now is that autism is multiply caused, all sorts of different causes, and those causes are different in different children. There are genetic factors, etc., etc. Obviously, you won't change the genetics, but that doesn't matter because what you change is his life path.
Alexander, come here. No! Oh, no, bring them here, please. Thank you.
18 months into the treatment, and this is the tantalising quandary of autism. In theory, there's no limit to the skills that Alexander might be able to learn.
Is he totally absorbed in fruitcake or what?
But how far can he move on from the prepared scripts and repetitive behaviour and join in life spontaneously like another child of his age? Perhaps it's too soon to say.
Alexander actually is proceeding through the programme very fast, but he still has a lot of autistic behaviours, and that's going to take time.
Another 2 years?
I would say probably at least.
Mindful of what happened when they dropped sessions last Christmas, John and Christine have decided to keep them going this holiday.
What is it?
But Siobhan and the other therapists have a tough job. Throughout the last few months, frustration has been building up in the daily therapy.
No? What is it? What's up? Pick it up. Pick it up, please. Give me the monkey.
It's very hard to just be cool about it. But luckily, Siobhan is absolutely amazing at dealing with it. I think she's brilliant at just working through the difficult stuff and getting to the other side.
Okay.
It's always very difficult when he seems to revert to old behaviour. And although I'm sure it'll be very quick and very much a passing phase, it's just horribly reminiscent of the beginning.
That is nice, quiet boy. Okay, that's good. Now, look on the board. Look what it says. What does it say? What do we need?
Flour, sugar, rice. I ate
What a good try. 1 egg.
1 egg.
Good boy. So should we get some flour?
Flour?
Yeah, let's get some flour.
What seems to keep Christine going is when shared activity reveals more and more of the personality behind Alexander's autism.
2 mugs. That's the way.
He clearly prefers practical work to language training. It sparks his imagination.
The way. Good.
Snow.
It's a bit like snow, isn't it? That's it. Keep going a bit more. Good boy. This is lovely.
He doesn't want to talk about it much, does he?
He doesn't really want to talk very much about anything very much. He still doesn't want to offer a lot of conversation. He likes, he communicates mostly in 1 or 2 words.
Beautiful. Good. And do it all again.
Do you think on the whole, though, he still prefers his own world?
That's difficult to say. Excuse me a second. Lunchtime calls. I think he does when he does, if you know what I mean. He still needs quite a lot of time to just do what he's doing just now, which is, play around and just be by himself.
Help! I'm choking! Cried Thomas. Get me out!
Alexander's repetitive behaviour seems to stem from untapped reservoirs of creativity. As a result, he is able to take control of his learning process. The obsessive video craze turns into a French lesson.
You try saying it too. Bonjour.
Encouraged by these glimpses of potential, I try to get to know him better by volunteering to do a therapy session myself. In a way, it's hard for me to get to know him unless I do communicate with him in the way that he is trained to communicate.
Well, that's right, because he's very much at the moment what we call SD dependent, because...
What does that mean?
Well, it's less rigid now, but it tends to be that he responds more readily when he's asked the same question in the same kind of way. Changing the wording sometimes can confuse him, so you get the best out of him if we all use the same sort of language. Although that's getting much less rigid now, he's actually able to respond more easily to different questions.
Bonjour, moustache.
I think it'll be great, and I think it'll be very nice for him because it'll be less daunting than somebody he doesn't know at all. Hello, you.
I spy with my little eye something beginning with K.
K. Chair.
Chair, very good. I spy with my little eye something beginning with B.
La bicyclette.
La bicyclette.
Bicyclette. I spy with my little eye something beginning with H.
Missile. A window.
In English. In English, Alexander.
And a door.
No. What is maison in English?
Missile.
Say.
House.
Good boy. Last one. Something beginning with T. What is
it? Means tree.
That's amazing. You like French, don't you?
Very good, Alexander. You missed your cue.
This extraordinary learning power would seem to provide him with the passport to the rest of the world, but he doesn't seem yet to want to make the journey. The private world of Disney fantasy still unwinds its tape inside his head.
These are bothering out. She's saying he's happy. Sometimes things are just as we see.
Good boy. Good boy. Come here.
Alexander has achieved the hardest thing for an autistic child, joining in with his classmates. But interaction with his peers presents a new challenge. How can he learn to express the feelings provoked by joining the real world?
Let me see if I can put it into words. I can hear you, you can hear me when we listen with our hearts. I understand you understand me. That's the place where we can
About a month ago, he started, instead of immediately screaming when something went wrong, he started saying, I shouted, I screamed, I yelled, in an effort to control himself. And so after this had gone on for a few days, we all felt that probably it was time to try and help him to express a little bit better how he was feeling. When I am
it's important that Mommy or Papa know why I'm sad.
Right.
I need to help them.
I need to tell them.
Or show them why I'm sad.
That's right.
It's not always that simple. Alexander's growing ability to articulate his feelings and to assert control over his own life tests his mother to the limit.
Come on. No, come on, we'll have this fight every day.
It's as if he's reached the terrible twos 4 years late.
Just put the red t-shirt on. No. It's become more my problem than his over the last couple of weeks because I've found that it's just completely lowered my resistance. I haven't had any coping mechanism to deal with it, because it's been so extreme at times. Just put it on. Stop. Now look at me. As a second or two where I can see him decide to have a tantrum with me and decide not to have a tantrum in another place. So he's controlling his behaviour relatively well outside.
Maybe he's just being naughty.
There's a bit of that, but I mean, I think it's harder work for him to behave in a controlled way outside, and so there's got to be a backlash somewhere, and that's got to be with me. Blue t-shirt. Well, listen, look at me. Oh, that is a very silly noise. Shh. No, shh. Alexander, stop making that noise. Did you say you wanted a blue t-shirt? Well, stop making that silly noise and get your blue t-shirt.
How are you, Dumbo? Yes, remember.
It's looking as if Christine's worries about combining the role of therapist and mother were justified.
I find it almost impossible at the moment. In fact, I've stopped doing sessions for the time being because I'm just finding it impossible. And I think I feel that what he's crying out for is just for me to be his caring, loving mother.
Sometimes things are just as they seem.
Two. Like that. Ranking 2, Simba's Pride.
No. Stop.
Alexander, why don't you try and do it?
Stop it.
Alexander, do it. This is what we've been getting, which we haven't had for such a long time. The slightest thing going wrong, I just didn't get that line quite in the right place, and the lettering quite in the right place. And this is what he's been doing. And
by the summer, John and Christine have succumbed to Alexander's protests. They think the demands of therapy and the pressure of school have become too much for him. They decide to suspend the sessions for a while, and almost immediately he calms down.
Do you sometimes think that Alexander might say, I've now got the means to enjoy my life in the way I want to, but that's enough, thank you very much, get off my back?
I think that's exactly what we've been having
for the last 2 or 3 months.
Yeah.
So this is why we backed off a bit, and we're going to give him a bit of an easy ride over the summer, and then we're going to start again in September.
But I think that is just exactly what he's been saying to us. He said, I can ask for the drinks I like, the food I like, the games I like, the outings I like. That's
I don't want to be shouted at.
Thank you very much. Goodbye.
I think he's fed up with it. And I don't think that's unreasonable.
Alexander, tell me what this book is.
Lady on the Train.
Good boy. What about this book?
Just at the moment, I feel it peculiarly at quite a low point, although I should feel elated, because there he is at school. He's at school every afternoon. He is mixing with other children. He's talking, he's writing, he's reading. He is happy.
Alexander, how are you? Alexander, look at me. Look at me. Good boy, good looking. Which is your favourite book?
It's been a huge roller coaster emotionally, particularly for me, because within this hope is also quite a lot of pain. If you have a real hope, a real beacon of hope, that just over the next ridge there is something really wonderful coming, then when he doesn't quite achieve that at times, you feel the pain more. When he does feel it, you feel the most amazing euphoria. And so it's been really huge. It's also.
But has the enormous amount of energy and effort you've had to put into it, and the time and emotional investment, has that somehow robbed you of the opportunity to grieve sometimes for the little boy you sort of lost, the happy, smiley baby?
I've done a lot of that. In the last couple of months, funnily enough, I have grieved for him very much. Oh gosh, I find it it's really hit me quite hard at times recently that yes, he was a very happy, smiley baby, and we've had to go through a lot of turmoil to get him back to somewhere near where he was.
Hello. You smile. You smile.
Why don't you want to talk today, Alexander? Why? What are you doing?
Go play.
You want me to go away?
Yes, we can, please.
All right, I'll go away. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye, John.
Bye-bye, Alexander.
Bye-bye, John.
Bye-bye.
Bye, John.
There's a Channel 4 recorded information line with details of organizations offering advice and support on all aspects of autism. The number to call is 08 456 10 22 22. Lines are open around the clock until the 21st of June, and calls will cost no more than 24 pence. That's 08 456 10 22 22.